guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Peachy and this channel is all about my Sylvanian Families collection. For today's video I wanted to do another top 10, and this time it's my top 10 Sylvanian Families shops and restaurants. I've really been enjoying making these kind of videos lately, as it really makes me think about the Sylvanian Families range as a whole and things that I have in my collection or things that maybe I don't have in my collection and I'd like to add in the future, or maybe I'm still not too worried about adding. So for today's list I've got a top 10 and 3 honourable mentions as well. And the only criteria I was keeping in mind when making this list was that they needed to be buildings that were marketed to primarily be a shop or restaurant, and I'm not including little stands, so like the village shoe shop or maybe the sweets cart, anything that's a cart or a stand or a little shop. I've not included on this list, and I'll probably do a separate list for them at some point in the future, as there's just so many of those it would be too hard to combine onto this list. So with all that said, let's get on with counting down my top 10. Starting at number 10, I have put the Courtyard Restaurant. This building was released in Japan in 2008 and then here in the UK in 2009. The mould for this building has recently been reissued or re-released, but as a home rather than a restaurant. So the building I'm talking about is the one that was released as a restaurant, and in my opinion is the better version. What I love about this building is that it has a house on the back and then the shop or restaurant on the front. So it's got this lovely courtyard where it's got tables and chairs, and then the part under the awning where you can have food being prepared, and there's also a counter. But then if you turn the house around, there's quite a decent amount of space to decorate as a house, and there's 4 different rooms there as well. Granted, the ground floor is kind of split into 2 by the pillar, but there's still a decent amount of space there, and I think it's just a really pretty building. From the front it looks really realistic. I like the balcony as well. All the railings are very nice, and it's just a bit different to some of the other buildings in the range. You could also use the courtyard for different things, so you could set other shops up in there if you didn't want to have it as a restaurant but still have it as a shop. You could have some of the little carts there. Just a really versatile building, and I really love it. Then at number 9 I've put the Sylvanian Families Beauty Salon. This came out in Japan in 2004 and here in the UK in 2009. The buildings are pretty much the same. The only difference is the Japanese version has a brown floor on the ground floor and the UK version has a hot pink floor. I have the UK version of this building, but they are so similar. Again, this building has a really interesting facade with the steps going up to the first floor. I love the big bay window it's got on the right hand side where you can see in and see the hairdressing chairs and the dryer and everything. And then when you turn it around, there's a good amount of space to be able to set up the different areas of the salon. So I have mine set up with the kind of hair washing station up on the first floor, and then the hairdressing chairs on the left hand side, and a little reception area down on the ground floor on the right hand side. But it's really versatile, you can do all sorts with it. I like the colours on it too. I really like the colour on the roof, the kind of pinky purple. It goes really nicely with the cream and doesn't make it too overpoweringly like girly and pastel. It still looks like a realistic building, but with those nice touches of colour, plenty of space, and a really interesting shape again. Then at spot number 8, I've picked a slightly smaller shop this time. This is the Country Florist Shop or Country Flower Shop. It's a Japanese only release and it came out in 2002. The amount of details on this building is incredible considering how tiny it is. There's lots of painted details. I particularly like the bricks, which are called out all the way around the moulding of the building. It's got this lovely green roof. It's got a glass case built in on the right hand side, and then some shelving as well. You've pretty much got everything you need moulded into the building, and it came with tons and tons of realistic plant accessories and flowers and wrapping for the flowers, ribbons, all that sort of thing. There were other sets you could combine in with it to make it larger, but I think even on its own it stands as a really pretty little shop. I love the sign as well, it's got a nice amount of detail on it. Just a really great little building. Then coming in at number 7, it's another restaurant. It's the Sylvanian Kitchen restaurant. This is another Japanese only release and it came out in the year 2000. This building is a particularly special one as it was an exclusive product sold in the Sylvanian Kitchen restaurants that they had in real life in Japan, so you could go there kind of a novelty experience. You go there and eat, and they had a shop with some exclusive items. The most probably sought after ones being these Sylvanian Kitchen range items, which was a tiny version of the restaurant itself. There was a cake shop, and then a number of smaller sets like the chef, the waitress, and food sets as well. Really cool little range. I absolutely love this building. I love the way it looks. The facade of it is really pretty. I love the big windows so you can see what's going on inside. It's got some nice embossing on the windows as well. The awning's very pretty. The kind of lattice signs are very pretty. And then if you turn it around and look inside, it's got some lovely yellow moulded seating, and then lots of space for tables, but also a food prep area and counter. You just fit a lot in this little building, and it's designed really well so that all the furniture just fits in perfectly and creates this little restaurant space. It's a bit different to the Courtyard Restaurant in that it is purely a restaurant building. There's no housing or accommodation, but it does have a stackability feature, so the way it's moulded means you could stack a house on top and have your chef or waitress living above the restaurant, which I think is a cool feature. I added this one to my collection a couple of years ago, and I just absolutely love it. It looks great in scenes, it's really fun to set up, and it looks great either way around as well. Love it. At number 6, and this is the last Japanese exclusive building on the list. I hadn't noticed when I was making the ranking that I'd stacked them all in a row, but it is the Cake Shop in the Forest, or words to that effect. I've popped that through Google Translate. This was a Japanese only release from 2006. This very pretty building is a cake shop, kind of patisserie, but also came with seating and this little veranda piece where you could put a table and chair, so it's also a cafe. I really like that about it. It's an interesting shape to the building with the terrace veranda built in. It reminds me of a smaller version of the Courtyard Restaurant. I like that the door's on an angle as well. It's got this lovely big window which looks into the kitchen, so you can see the chef preparing all the cakes or chocolates or whatever he's making that day. Then it has a separate piece which is the kind of cake shop counter that shows all the prepared cakes on display. It's got some shelves at the back for extra storage, and then a nice big table with a fancy cake in the window. I like the way this building fits together, and I like the way that it has a defined kind of shop floor area and back of house kitchen area. Really cool design. At number 5 is the Tomi era village boutique or dressmakers. This came out in both Japan and the UK. Came out in Japan in 1994 and was called the Dressmakers, and it came out in the UK in 1995 under the Village Boutique name and Tomi distribution. The version I have is the Japanese version, the Dressmakers, which came with a few more accessories. So it came with a nice vintage Singer style sewing machine and just a few more bits and bobs than the UK edition did. This shop is a really fun one. The Tomi era or the 90s era shops were this wonderful rectangle shape, and they had so much room in them for you to put lots and lots of bits and pieces. This one is no exception. If you put all the pieces that it comes with in all together, there's almost not enough room for everything to fit. It looks nicely packed, loads of accessories, these 2 big beautiful bay windows so you can see into the shop, and a cute little front door as well so you can have people coming and going. I don't know about you, but when I was a child I was obsessed with people going in and out the doors. I think because they kind of moved and they had letterboxes and you could kind of knock on them and things, so I was always excited when a building had an opening and closing door. Overall, just a really great building, and I love that it came with everything you needed to get on with playing with it straight away, or setting it up, or taking photos, or whatever you want to do. Everything you need is included. I think that's kind of what's great about every shop on this list, and why I really like the Sylvanian shops and restaurants, because they came with all the furniture you needed, they came with all the accessories and the shop parts and all the stuff that you could just get straight in and set them up, which I think is really great. Something that the houses don't always come with, because obviously you're expected to furnish them yourselves and using the furniture sets that you like. But when you bought a house, it was a little bit less exciting because you needed to then buy the furniture separately a lot of the time, unless it was a gift set. So I always really loved the shops because you had everything there ready to go. Then coming in at number 4 is the Flair Era Village Store. It was also called the supermarket when it transferred over into the Epoch Era and distribution continued. So So this one was released in Japan in 2013 and here in the UK in 2014. And I think this building is absolutely brilliant. The care that's gone into designing all the shelves and counters and everything that make up the furniture is just great. It's got a little bakery area, it's got a fruit and veg section, it's got a fresh produce section, it's got a freezer for the ice cream, it's got a fridge for the chilled stuff, and then it's got ample space all around the store for all your ambient bits and bobs. And it comes with so many accessories. Like, I feel like there's at least 70 little pieces of grocery items that you get with this store of all shapes and sizes. It's packed to the brim. It looks so great when it's all set up. It does lose points because it doesn't have a functioning door, but it does have a very nice window with this lovely sign writing on it that says the name, either supermarket or village store. I love the little trolley it comes with as well. That's very fun. Just a really, really great building, and I absolutely love setting it up because it's got so many tiny pieces for you to decide where you want to put them. Now, before we get into the top 3, let's go over the honourable mentions. So my first honourable mention is the Seaside Restaurant. That came out in Japan in 2013 and the UK in 2015. Really cute little restaurant. There's lots of seating inside. There's room for a kitchen as well. What I like about this one is it's got this kind of open fronted piece and a water plate, so it's like it's right on the ocean. It's also got a very kind of Mediterranean feel to the building design. Just really like it. Then my second honourable mention is the Tomi Bakery. This was released in Japan in 1996 and here in the UK in 1998. This one again has a great facade. I love the big shop window, and it's got these nice sizable shelves in there for you to be able to set up a window display. It's got this cute little takeout window, again with a kind of see-through counter so you can have some more items displayed over there. It's got the door on the angle again, but the best part about this one I think for me is the steps that lead up. So you can either stack a house on top and have the stairs leading up to the house, or you can have them leading up onto this roof terrace where you can have tables and chairs. Really lovely building, and came with lots of accessories too. Again, room for a shop floor and kitchen. And then my final honourable mention is the Strawberry Nursery. This came out in Japan in 2023 and here in the UK in 2024. And it's actually a remould of a Flair era building, which was a toy shop. So in my village, the Strawberry Nursery is not a nursery, it's instead the Strawberry Toy Shop. It has all the same pieces that came with the Flair era building. The only difference is it doesn't say toy shop on the sign, but for all intents and purposes, it could be used as a toy shop. I really love the pink and cream on this building. I think it's a really nice callback to the Flair era without making it too pink and pastel-y and just overtly moving away from the woodland theme. But it is still extremely cute. I love the theming. Now, onto my top 3. And coming in at number 3, it's the Village Cake Shop. So this is a Epoch era building. Came out in Japan in 2016 and here in the UK in 2017. And I think this is possibly the last, in my opinion, the last really good shop building that we got. It's a whole building. It's not got any weird holes in the side where a door should be, but there isn't a door and you have to stick a railing. It's got these beautiful big bay windows on the front where you can see in, and they've got this lovely detailed embossing on them. It's got a set of front doors. It's got a nice big shop sign on this kind of awning. It's got plenty of accessories that it came with so you can kit the whole shop out. And I like the counterpiece that can either slot into the window so it looks like the cake bread poodle mother who comes with the shop is icing the cakes or whatever in the window, or you can turn it round and have it like a shop counter inside, and I thought that was a really good design. The cake pieces are really detailed. I particularly like the 3 pastry swans filled with cream. They're a lovely accessory. It came with lots of paper pieces as well, so lots of nice doilies to put under the cakes to just make it look that bit more polished. And yeah, just a really, really great building set. At number 2, it's a very nostalgic one for me. It's the Tomi era post office. So this came out in the UK in 1992, and then Flair also re-released it in 2009. And as far as I'm aware, this was a UK exclusive product, and I just love it. It's the first Sylvanian shop I got. It's in the very classic Tomi square shop building with the open front and the detachable roof. It didn't come with a massive amount of accessories, but for the time it came with kind of the amount you got in this kind of shop in the Tomi era. It also came with a figure of a postman, so you had everything you needed to get up and running. A counter, and my favourite accessory, a red post box that was filled with cardboard postcards and letters that you could post in the slots and then also post through the letterboxes on the doors. This one had loads and loads of playability. I played with it so much when I was a kid, and it's kind of one of those essential services. To have a really good functioning village, you would need a post office to get all the letters around, and I think it's lovely that Sylvania has one. And with that, we've reached the end of the list already, and at number 1, drum roll please. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I don't think there's any prizes for guessing what this one will be. It is of course the Watermill Bakery, complete with Squirrel Baker Christopher Appleblossom. I don't think I've kept it a secret how much I love this building. It's my favourite bakery and it's my favourite Sylvanian shop overall. It's just such a perfect, beautiful, quintessentially Sylvanian shop, or building in general, set, whatever you want to call it. It's just perfect. It gives those woodland, cottagecore, cozy vibes. The colour palette is really natural and woodsy. The design of the building is gorgeous. It's got lovely big windows on one side where you can see all the different breads and pastries and things that are on offer at the bakery. And then it's got a real working watermill that turns around, and it turns inside the mill that's turning the flour or dough. It's got this beautiful big brick oven built in. It's got a counter built in, so it's got that designated shop floor and kitchen space. There's loads of space and accessories for making the bread that Christopher can use, and then there's also plenty of food accessories that this one comes with for you to be able to decorate the shop floor with. It comes with trays, it comes with tongs, everything you'd need to set up your little bakery, and I think it's just perfect. I can't think of anything to say about this building that would make it any better. And in my impassioned spiel, I forgot to mention, it came out in Japan in 2007 and here in the UK in 2008. And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed going over this top 10 list with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, or your top 10s, your favourite Sylvanian shops or restaurants. I'd love to hear. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.